Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. Today, our guest is Ashley from Black Sheep Christian Podcast, and we will speak about the importance of spirituality for business owners, entrepreneurs. Hi, Ashley.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. It is a interesting and important topic. Tell me, please, what spirituality means to you?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question to start off with. What spiritual reality, what spirituality means to me. It means for me is it's a greater connection than our own. It is something that we it helps us to be able to connect something that's greater than ourselves, to be able to just have wonder in our world, to have stability in our world at the same time. And then, as well as human beings, when you think about it, there's so many mysteries that are beyond our understanding. So, when it comes to spirituality, it bridges the gap of some of those mysteries, even though they're not even answered.
Yes, thank you for sharing. For me, spirituality also, as you said, is understanding that there is bigger intelligence. There is God who is much, much bigger, and has much bigger understanding that we have. Yes, that um, understanding that we have only a little bit, um, we can see a little bit piece, yes,
Yeah.
of all the picture, because we are in this human body and we live in this 3D reality, and
Yeah.
also even living in this body, and we even don't see whole picture even from 3D reality, because how we see the world is also influenced by our parents, how those programs in our subconscious mind were built, how we see ourselves. So even from that 3D reality, we can see only a very tiny part. So
Yes.
for me, spirituality is the view of God to things. And for example, for me, the Bible is very important book, because I learn from Bible the way how God looks at things. Yes, for
Mm.
example, through analyzing Jesus' life, how he spoke, how he behaved, how he responded to different situations. It tells us so much about God and about his principles. And also when we study the Hebrew scriptures, also it is a lot we can learn about God, and also about his perception, and of course his guidance for us. Yes, so as you said, that looking for something that is just bigger than our perception, to look at things, and willingness to learn, yes, and willingness to be guided, be open to receive wisdom, which is more higher than our wisdom.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so tell us about your Black Sheep podcast.
Yeah. So, my Black Sheep podcast is just a way of exploration. I used to church hop, um, and that was kind of frowned upon. But what it really was in the end was just an exploration of faith. And so with the Black Sheep, it is in terms of just being a rebel and just searching out for God differently.
Yeah, so what do you mean searching out for God differently? Differently from what?
Good question. So, searching out for God differently, it is outside of the church walls, outside of the scholars, and even though some of them are really great, but it's just going talking to, everyday people, priests, pastors, just anybody and everybody that is really connected to the faith and trying to learn who God is. It's just in a different way, in a different platform.
Yes, yes, it is very good that you mentioned this because I believe that the religion cannot be just like a stamp in the passport. As
Yes. Yeah.
we look to history and also to different geographic places, there
Yeah.
are different religions, and it depends on geographic place. There are religions who are more popular in those places. So it means that if we were born in China, automatically we would be Buddhists, for example, yes. Or if we were born in, um, let's say, Iran or Saudi Arabia, automatically we would be Muslims. Yes, so it means like religion for many people is just like a stamp in passport. Like when we are born, we belong to certain nationality and we have that passport. Yes, so it is like automatically somebody chooses for us that stamp, and many people just carry on without asking questions, without searching, without really understanding if it is really something that answers my questions. Is this really about the true worship and true God?
That's a very interesting viewpoint. Yeah, it's a very interesting viewpoint. And but in that context too, when you use China and what was it, Iran, for example, our culture really helps dictate how God is viewed in certain ways. And when you think about it in a great sense, being in America, America has the version of God here in America is very quite interesting than all the other countries throughout the world. And so, with that, how culture and God are used in order for laws, in order for what's normal, what's not normal, what's determined as far as behavior and what you wear and how you approach other people and how you carry yourself. Um, Religion is very embedded in who we are, irregardless if we believe in God or not.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about the version of God in America.
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. So today, well, it kind of helps to go back in the past when settlers first came to America. So there were Indians here, Native Americans here, but Christopher Columbus, for example, were one of many people who decided to come here and create a new country. And part of that, of coming here, was religion, that the fact that they use religion to come to this country and to be able to do the things that they have done. So there are some good things and bad things with that. And I start with that because it really solidifies what's happening today in America, in which God is used to justify actions and how we treat other people, especially with immigrants. And so it's like cherry picking. God in America today feels like he's being cherry picked in order for certain policies to occur today.
Yes, it is interesting that what you said, because as we know from Bible that Jesus was never part of any political party. Yes, and he always was saying that um, my kingdom is not part of this world. And
Right.
even there were people who wanted him to become king because he was healing people, he was feeding them, he was teaching them. So people wanted him to become a king. Yes, and he said that my kingdom is not from this world.
Yeah.
So when we really read Bible, we understand that true Christianity doesn't participate in any political things. Yes, political
Yeah.
situations.
So to use Jesus as an example, he really Jesus is very quite an interesting person to even to speak about because first of all, his parents had to leave the country from where they were. Um, for persecution after he was born. He was very, when you think about it at that time, he was radical for what he was even speaking about. And another thing too was because of his ideas, he was questioning the establishment at that time. So the Pharisees really had I wouldn't say that they were the government, but they really had that stronghold that our government has today, as far as how people move, speak, how things move about, and Jesus really questioned everything that they were doing, and they hated that. They hated him for that.
Yes, and they didn't even only hide him. Finally, they killed him even, right? So it shows that how far they went from God's laws and principles.
Right. And when you think about it in the natural, Jesus is king. It says that, but he doesn't act like that. So it's very, and here on earth it's very confusing. Whoa, you're king. You're supposed to be up here. You're supposed to receive certain things. You're supposed to be able to do certain things. But really, Jesus was like, even though I'm up here, I'm right here with you. And so that in itself is just a mindset that is radical, even probably to this day.
Yes, as he said that I came to heal sinners. Yes,
Yeah,
sinners
yeah.
and people who wrongdoers, so they can repent and change their ways. And also, he was saying that who saw me saw my father. It means that he knew his father so well that people who saw him who also could know about God, his father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, a lot of we can learn from Jesus about his being so humble.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, when
Yes.
yes, like one of this situation when he knew that he would be killed, and the his disciples were arguing who will be bigger, yes, in kingdom. And then he showed him the lesson. He offered to wash their feet because
Mm-hmm.
into that time when people were coming to somebody's house, the owner of the house was washing the feet, and where they met there was no owner. So Jesus showed
Yes.
us and washed his disciples' feet, showing that nobody should look for be bigger than other person. That all people have been created in such a unique way. Everyone has talents, gifts, and everyone should be treated with respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that is really part of what is just so amazing about Jesus. Again, he's up here, we're down here, but yet his actions allow us to be on the same level. And washing feet is the prime example of that.
Yes, and also he showed the compassion. Yes, what I learned from him also that he showed compassion, that he saw people not what they were doing at the time, but he could see the essence, the pure essence of that person, and he could catch something that was good.
Yes. Not only compassion, but but also it touches greed in a major way, because here is this he's doing he's not even though he deserves more, he doesn't take it. And that is a lesson for us all that we may as a civilization may never understand until the end.
Yes, that is why the Bible is so important book, and everyone who is reading this book can learn so much from it. And although there are many religions, many cultures, and as you said, many people are using the word God because it is something that so easy to use. Yes, because we know that everyone wants to live and that God will be like pleased with his actions. So when people say, oh, God wants you to do that, so it is one of the way how people can be manipulated.
Yes, and you know what? It's interesting, because I thought about this fact is that King James really is what I wouldn't say the single most, but without King James, we wouldn't have the Bible that we have today. And what's very fascinating about the King James Bible is that the language that was used was in a way to what was a barrier. It's funny because King James here in America, people don't really we have there's so many different translations. So like typically King James is really hard to understand, and you'd be thinking like, oh my gosh, back then these people understood these words and here we can't understand their language. But when King James was written, the common person really couldn't read the Bible, even though the purpose of the Bible was to spread the word. But the common person back then couldn't read their own Bible of their time.
Yes, yes, and those people who were translating Bible, they were risking their lives because the church that time was not encouraging people to read the Bible exactly as it is now, right? So
Yeah.
it was they wanted to keep it in Latin language, so not many people can understand exactly what is there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people who were translating, they were persecuted as a Christians also initially, yes, and they were killed, and many Bibles were burned when they translated. But anyway, by today, we have this great opportunity to read Bible, and it is translated in so many languages. Almost, I think, all the languages are covered. Yes, and nobody can say that, oh, I don't know, I don't have opportunity. And yeah, this is just, I think it depends on us how we understand our spiritual needs. And Jesus told that happy are those who understand spiritual needs. Yeah, so people who are searching for knowledge from true God and from for wisdom. Yeah, for wisdom who are not satisfied but just traditional answers, and they want really to find the truth. And as you said, there are so many cultures and so many different images of God, but we know that God is one. Yes, so
Yeah.
we have to find who He really is, and one of the way is to see and study Jesus' life because He also shows a lot from His Father what He learned from Him.
Yes. Beautiful.
Mm.
Little nuggets. Yeah, I mean, what's so fascinating is every step of the way, God's word was, he tries to send his word to us, and there's always a barrier of some sort, to get to the people, for people to be able to access him. But he always finds a way.
Yeah, great. So it was good to discuss with you a bit about spirituality today and what spirituality means to us. And we
Mm.
can continue this conversation. We can continue and record some more episodes, and every time we can speak about certain topic to help people who are looking for wisdom and who really want to find that the knowledge and understand the Bible better. As you said, maybe somebody don't understand correct and would like to have some more understanding. Yes, so we can help those people with our episodes.
Yeah, that would be great.
Good. So we will meet and discuss the topics, and I'm looking forward to see you again in our next episode.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
You're most welcome.